Hello everyone, welcome to My Family Reviews Star Trek. I'm Perry, these are my children Leia and Boba Fett number 1701. Behind the camera is my wife, we'll just call her the voice of God. She'll chime in whenever she wants. And we're really excited to start reviewing Strange New Worlds. We've been waiting for this one for a long time, ever since Pike and Spock. Are you just going to laugh the whole damn time? Okay. Okay, great. I've got laughter and arm wrestler over here. That's fine. Stop praying to my armpit. We can see up your mask. Anyway, we've been waiting for Strange New Worlds for a really long time, ever since Pike and Number One and Spock were introduced into... Seriously? Performance issues. Ever since they were introduced in Season 2 of Discovery, and now they're finally here, despite Boba Fett's best efforts. So the first episode is called Strange New World, appropriately titled. I think out of all the series premieres of all the Star Treks, this one really hit it out of the park. Opening credits, wow, you could tell they put a lot of effort into that. The Enterprise looked beautiful. It felt good hearing those classic words spoken. After so many decades, I guess Captain Picard was the last one to speak them when Next Generation ended, way back in the 90s. So it was really good to hear him again. Long overdue to hear it again. I wish they would have done that sooner, but oh well.
I appreciated how they referenced that in the episode as well. When they started, I felt like they started it off on that note of our goal is to explore in Strange New Worlds, typical Star Trek. And then when the ensign, what's her name?
Ensign.
Helmsman.
Okay.
Flying ship lady?
Ortega, I think.
Ortega,
You
yeah.
gotta learn their names. These are cool.
Yeah.
Not cool.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I'll do my homework. When Ortega was like, what's our mission? And then the captain said that instead of something stupid, like, let's fly. I thought that was really helpful.
Well, he says hit it. I mean, that's almost...
It's kind of, it's his vibe.
It's better. He's cool.
Yeah. It's not like something mystical and
It doesn't feel forced.
See what's out there.
But it's not engage. That was perfect.
Yeah.
That was
I feel like it fits their person. Engage fits Picard, and I feel like hit fits Pike.
Yeah, okay. He's definitely the most mellow of all the captains I've seen. Not like Kirk and Picard and Sisko and Janeway.
Well, he has knowledge of his death and all that, so that's a new factor in a captain, right?
Yeah.
He knows how he's gonna die.
Yeah.
I feel like he has the common trait of Georgiou, where they both were able to very trust their team, and they kind of knew all the dynamics of their team, so we're able to see them not just learning about each character, but they're just able to depend on them. They kind of know what their reactions are going to be for each of them.
You brought up Georgiou. That's a sore point. We should have had more of Georgiou. Not evil space villain Georgiou. The classic Georgiou. The Klingons ate her. All right, anyway, we'll go on.
Love Georgiou.
All right, but also, young Spock was in this episode. His interactions with T'Pring were pretty cool, with all the querying going back and forth. And then Pike interrupting, and you can see where T'Pring gets fed up with that later on.
Why did Pike have to ask, are you naked?
Because he was naked from that thing up.
Still.
If you're on a video call and you see that, you're like, oh, I must have called at a bad time.
Yeah, Spock was really funny in this episode, I thought, with the screaming and stuff. I thought he was the highlight of the episode.
I did not care for the screaming. See, if y'all remember the classic episode where the classic Spock said a Vulcan would not cry out so, then you know he shouldn't have done that.
But I think that's his evolution, because right now we're seeing him a lot more happy with his role in Starfleet and happy with his role with his engaged fiancé situation. I think he's very happy right now.
Right, he's a very content.
It's a transition from the Spock we see in the cage to the Spock we see in the original series.
Right, but why is he going to transition? How is he going to transition? I don't see any of the transition yet, and I want him to get to my
It's
spot.
starting.
Yeah,
well, it's the first episode.
Is he transitioning from human to Vulcan? Is that the transition?
He's transitioning from totally suppressing his human side. Right now, it comes out every once in a while, whether he's smiling in those Discovery episodes or whatever, screaming right now, but he's not to that classic repressed Spock where he's totally in control of his emotions, and he doesn't have anyone needling him like Dr. McCoy or something like that.
I think this is a much more human Spock.
Yes, but I want my classic Spock back, and I want him to get there somehow. If he can take those baby steps and get there, that would be great, guys.
Yeah, we'll see how that happens.
What about Uhura? Please.
We all liked Uhura, okay?
Uhura was
She's
amazing.
Cadet Uhura. She's not Lieutenant Uhura. So if I can take Spock screaming out when a Vulcan would not cry out so, then you can take Uhura saying cool.
I like her a lot. I think it's really important to show the transition of someone new at their job and like, oh my god, this is Starfleet, to like,
She
yeah, I
didn't
can
have
handle this
her
shit.
nails done. She didn't have her beautiful earrings.
Okay, she's a different Uhura at a different
It's
stage
not
of her
the
life.
60s anymore.
It's not the 60s. Plus, I think it's like a Tilly 2.0. They really toned down that Tilly kind of role and made it fit
Yeah.
the cadet. Because Tilly was a cadet when she started. Uhura was a cadet.
She's way
in
more
the show.
professional than Tilly, though, in my opinion, because the way she handled that alien invading, like totally just
Oh,
talked to
yeah,
her,
that
It
talked
wasn't
to him,
an
calmed him down.
invasion. It was an alien running around. And that, oh good, I'm glad you brought that up. Because that was like a classic Uhura. In that one episode, Brennan Circuses, she was monitoring the Romans' transmissions. And she knew that they were talking about not the sun in the sky, but the Son of God. So in this one, she was monitoring their transmissions too. So that's why she knew about the sporting events and their local, whatever they call their ball version game or whatever. So
You do your homework.
He just referenced episodes. He's done his
We
homework.
only saw it
his
twice.
entire
Please
life.
forgive us. But anyway,
Yeah.
all right. So
I
what
think it
else?
was like tag ball, something like that.
Back
Back, something
yeah,
like that.
something like
Did you
that.
like the doctor?
Oh, he was amazing.
After, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he's-
a very like calm presence in like all the chaos. I think that's why him and Nurse Chapel get along. Is because the nurse is very like ready to like go with anything.
Energetic,
and the
yeah.
doctor is very like seasoned and like, yes, it's fine. You know, it's okay.
Yeah, he feels like a parent almost.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right, so what about the controversy where they showed America's second Civil War, which has never been brought up in Star Trek before, and then they showed actual footage of the January 6th insurrection leading up to the second Civil War. What about that? That was very controversial. Star Trek is known for tackling controversial subjects head on.
Yeah.
With the racial stuff going back to the 60s with the half black, half white aliens angry with each other because they were white on the wrong side of their face.
I mean,
I
it's
think
very
this
on
is-
tone for Star Trek. I think for them to go there with like current day messaging and to be bold and say that even in like really high partisan times like today.
Yeah.
So I think it was very on tone and just basically classic Star Trek for them to do something like that
Yeah.
and put it in an episode today. And very brave of them. That's my opinion.
I think the key reason that like everyone's getting so Star Trek never attacked the Canada egg. Star Trek never said Republicans are bad. They said these actions that these like crazy people took, storming the White House and doing whatever it is they did, that is what led to the Third World War. They said things like discussion, debate, talking it out instead of doing these like violent acts is the solution. So I think that's what the comparison was. The warp bomb was the equivalent of storming the Capitol on January 6th. So yeah, I don't think it was that far-fetched. I don't think it was that like on the nose to do when they're very similar subjects and they can be solved in very similar ways.
And they did give this kind of speech in classic Star Trek where Spock said it might have rendered your history a bit less bloody. But this time they actually showed it. This is the first time they showed it using actual footage from current events, straight off the news. But
Yeah.
it's not even been a couple years.
You-
That was pretty cool. I was impressed. I don't think they were too heavy-handed. I don't think they took it too far. I thought it was just right. It was a warning. And that's what Star Trek's really good at.
Yeah,
is
that's what
warning us.
good
Whether it's
sci-fi
about
does.
Environmental concerns, or about social concerns, or about political concerns. Star Trek's really good at warning us about what we should do and what we shouldn't do. We should not kill off all the humpback whales, and we definitely shouldn't be on this road that we're on politically.
I love the way Pike flexed with his starship.
That was cool too,
That
I
was
guess.
kind of a Kirk move.
And
Yeah.
that shot of the
I've got to
Enterprise
take
was
a
so
stick.
cool.
That was a
That
good
was-
shot of the Enterprise.
That was
You're absolutely
beautiful.
right. Beautiful ship. Beautiful, beautiful ship.
The way it was brought up, see what we got.
Yeah.
And the way that Prime Directive, it was another Prime Directive episode, but it was done really well. And it's been a while since we had a Prime Directive episode. And Pike handled it well. I mean, a lot of captains have messed with the Prime Directive. Pike said screw it, and he had good reason in the context of this particular episode. So it was really well done. Everything
what was
about
the
the episode-
context of this episode?
that the battle in Discovery Season 2 kind of gave them the idea to go down this path with this technology. I think it would have been better if some of the wreckage would have landed on their planet and they would have found that. But anyway, seeing it through a telescope, they were able to retro-engineer it. Maybe they're really smart. But
Yeah, because it's not like they were some incredibly primitive culture. They were just pre-warp. Like they had a lot of. They're basically where we are today, in my opinion.
well, no, that's
So-
what they were scoffing at. They were in the 21st century. Their torpedo, their plasma weapons, or whatever it was, were way down the scale.
Yeah.
They were nowhere near going to warp. Because they were influenced by that battle, that somehow pushed them
Yeah.
up much further and much faster than they were ready for.
Yeah.
So Pike felt the need to intervene, which I think was the correct call.
So I think, yeah, since Starfleet previously indirectly broke the Prime Directive by giving them the technology
Inadvertently by having the battles too close to their system,
Yeah.
which they couldn't control, but yeah, that happened.
Exactly, yeah.
I like that they showed everybody in that planet to be unanimous about no violence versus what Earth went through.
Yeah, they came to an agreement pretty quick, but I think
Yeah.
with the footage that Pike showed them, I mean, it was very effective on the audience, but it was also effective on the people too, saying, "Oh, this is what can happen to the whole planet."
Talk about the standout character of the episode, in my opinion, which was the security chief Singh. Was that her name?
Lon Noonien.
Yeah, Lon Noonien Singh. Yeah, she was one of the standout characters. I think her backstory helped with the development of Pike's character, with their explanation of like her backstory with the Gorn, her experience with the Gorn, and how that tied into death, and how that led Pike to, rally the people of the planet to come to terms with their conflict. So I think she's gonna be has the potential to be a classic Star Trek character, because she was really good in this episode, in my opinion.
She's almost like Kira, because Kira had the backstory with the Kardashians, with the troubled youth and fighting a rebellion and all that. We don't know how long Lon was with the Gorn, but it definitely affected her, and she reminded me of Kira in that regard with the conflict with the Kardashians.
I saw a lot more of Seven in her, because I felt like the way Seven escaped the Borg and Janeway kind of taught her to be human. Although they alluded to it, I felt like Una kind of trained La'an to be more human and get into Starfleet and see that there are other ways besides just like the horrible events that she obviously witnessed with the Gorn.
I bet they show more of that later on with their backstory.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the development between Una and Singh. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think they also chose to focus on her, and I think eventually they'll focus on Uhura and the engineer, just because they're new characters to this crew. They're brought on for this mission, and they're sticking it out for like obviously missions to come. But previous to that, they obviously all have interrelations. The doctor and the captain, the nurse and the doctor, Ortega and Nurse Chapel, all those kinds of people, they already have relations with each other. So they are not going to be the priority to explain, in my opinion.
All right, so now let's try to review the episode. We'll give it 1 out of 10 warp cores, 10 or 11 being like Wrath of Khan, and 0 being like These Are the Voyages. So I'll go first. I thought it was a really good episode. I thought it was by far the best series premiere out of all the Star Treks ever made. It was really strong. I don't think it was like right up there with the classic like Best of Both Worlds or Far Beyond the Stars or City on the Edge of Forever.
Yeah.
But it was really close. So I'm going to give it a 9. And again, I think it was the best. I can't find a single fault with it, other than some of the Spock stuff where he's screaming out, I guess, for a comedic effect or a good distraction. And then they beamed that stuff, the cure, into him. But did they beam it straight into his eyes or something? I mean, I wish they had shown more of how that happened. But I'll give it a solid 9 out of 10. It was a really good episode. We watched it twice. It didn't feel slow at all either time. I mean, the pacing was great. The dialogue was great. And it had a really good message. You might not agree with the political view, but Star Trek is definitely good at presenting a social problem, and then you can make your own decision from there, what you think about it. So I give it a 9 out of 10. Bubba?
I'll give it a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. It is the best opening to a Star Trek show I've ever seen. And it's issues, like it's tackling with modern day issues, like is really refreshing to see in Star Trek nowadays. And also the pacing was good. I liked the humor in the episode.
Yeah.
I think everything about the episode it looked beautiful. Like it was the best looking Star Trek episode in my opinion. And yeah, I would watch it again. I could watch it countless of times without getting bored. So I give it a 10 out of 10.
And yeah, the humor you brought up, we haven't seen humor in Star Trek done well in a while, but other than a bit thing here and a bit thing there. But this, yeah, okay, classic McCoy. But no, this humor was natural. It was baked into the episode. It was really done well.
Yeah, it didn't take away from the tension of anything. It was perfectly done.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great episode. I think it's an interesting point of view because, like, me and my brother are obviously younger, so when we see, like, classic, like, Kirk Trek, like the story with the whales, we're looking in the past and we're like, oh, well, obviously, save the whales. But seeing something where it's, like, so current is really, it has a different effect on you when it's, like, I lived through that social event. You know what I mean? So I thought it was an amazing episode of classic Trek. I enjoyed the display of all the characters, although it did center on the security officer and Pike. I felt like all of them were no one was pushed to the side, really. They
The
were all-
engineer was pushed to the side. He didn't even get a single line, but
He
They
wasn't
said
there.
They
Yes.
said
He boarded-
wasn't-
yeah,
they
he boarded at the
late.
end,
They
yeah.
right,
had
and
to board
I'd
that
rather
ship.
him not have a single line and focus on who you need to focus on than just give him a token line here and there.
Yeah, they weren't
Sorry, I
ready. For
interrupted. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
But yeah, I would give it 9.5, 10 out of 10. I didn't see a fault with it.
Yeah, there wasn't a fault with it. So we all rated about the same. 9, 10, 9.5.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, that's pretty much our episode. We're going to come back every single week and rate every single new episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. As you can tell, we're all really excited about it. We've waited a long time for it. We really enjoyed the series premiere. We hope that the rest of the shows live up to that standard. I know it's a really high bar, but come on, man. We've been waiting a long time. We deserve this. All right.